Welcome to the Shake Up Podcast. I'm your host and co-founder of Mr. Consistent, Jared Bell. This is a podcast where we invite friends of the brand into our studio. We get to know their story a little bit better. We chat all things business, culture and marketing, all while shaking up a few cocktails. We did it as a half-assed April Fool's joke because last year we said we ran out of lime juice for April Fool's. And December rolled around and we actually ran out of lime juice. Welcome to another episode of the Shake Up Podcast. Today's guest, I feel like most of the people that come on here are my friends, but this is one of my best mates, Brok Neilson. We've worked together for I don't even know, it'd be 15 years. This guy gave me my first DJ gig.
On and off for a long, long time. Just a lot of mutual respect and admiration between the two of us. Been involved in businesses that have run similar paths, but just in different directions.
I feel like we've always entwined, some way, shape or form, we'll be able to intertwine our goals and our passions and the things we love.
We're definitely both passionate people, and that's something that we align on.
I think we sat here, we've been sitting here for 20 minutes chatting, shooting the shit before we even started this thing. Turn that on silent. Mate, for the people at home that don't know you or what you do, it's weird because you're in this creative industry. You started out as hospitality. Yep. That's kind of where we met in the nightclub scene. And you've slowly transitioned from hospitality to, brand marketing, supplying DJs music for hospitality industries. Tell us a little bit about, your businesses and what you do.
Yeah. So as Jared just said, I run two businesses, one together agency, one called Creative Cult. The transition happened just, as you grow older, you don't want to necessarily be running nightclubs or
it's fun while it lasts, right? We had some good times with the late nights start to take a toll.
You start to knock a few years off your life. You're like, all right, maybe I better slow down. And I've always been running events or been involved in music or been the booker of a venue. So the transition was pretty simple for me. It was okay, I can just move away, and instead of employing people here to run a bar, I can employ my mates to work in other venues and DJ and entertain. Through that, my interest has always been in marketing venues and just marketing in general. So I've always on the side got advised, been involved in, whether it be on the artist side or whether it be with friends in venues or clients, etc., working with them on getting their events right, getting their marketing right, getting their social, social media is a big part of my brand as well. Yeah. It's I was on social media talking about how to help artists, how to help venues. And through that, I realized I couldn't dilute Together Agency too much more. I needed to sort of remove focus and keep that on entertainment so people could understand what Together Agency was.
Yeah, and it's essentially a artist booking agency where you go to you've got a club, you've got a nightclub, you've got a pub, a wedding, birthday party, anything. You can come to you and you will supply a DJ that plays the music or a musician that plays the music that person loves and likes.
Yeah, we look after everything from, a touring artist over time that we've had, and then all the way down to literally a DJ at the local restaurant.
Yeah.
we cover all of that. We've got live musicians as well. And then I was still focusing on, and I still have a massive passion and interest in marketing and branding. So a friend of mine was in a job that he didn't like. So he was like, man, it's time. We'd been talking about it for 5 years, literally.
I feel like me and you your partner, can we say his name?
Aaron.
Yeah, Aaron, yeah. I feel like, and we've talked about it a lot, and if he listens to this, how underutilized his actual talent is.
He's probably one of the most talented.
The full-time role more so took the energy and the drive out of him because he would come and film mine and Tom's DJ videos whenever we'd play in Brisbane or whatever. We'd pay him and come along. We'd get this amazing video and we'd send it to promoters and we'd get gigs booked straight off the back of that. But it was a fucking nightmare to get him out of the house on a Saturday to come do a job. And he'd be flat as a tack. Yeah, he's flat as a tack on. And now, his true potential is hyped. Is absolutely come to life.
Yeah, he's really and he's not that young now. He's still young.
Shout out to because we actually worked with him the other week, like on some stuff for here, and I was like, "Fuck, get him in!" Like, and the video and the footage and everything is amazing. Like
the day I met him and the first day I saw the content that he produced, and this is same thing 10, 12 years ago, I was like, I need to help this guy realize who he can be in the industry, and at least be his friend and be involved in that part of his life. And then probably about 5 years ago, I'm like, dude, you need to get out of whatever like, I could see what it was doing to you. Like, this is whatever you're doing is killing you. You need to get out. You are so talented. You're underutilized, and you're just never going to get there doing it there because you're just so, and this happens to everyone. You just get safe in your job and you're like,
I feel like
that's become cruisy, and then all of a sudden your weekends, I need my weekends to recharge. And it's like, you lose that drive to follow your passions and pursue your dreams. And the second, like there's no bad blood between the job that he left to come work for us. Cause I gave him, like,
he did amazing work for to be fair, he did amazing work for them and they were super lucky to have him and he was super lucky to have them. There's probably bits and pieces that he brings from that business into your business that are very 100%. Structured and they do it. The business he did work for do amazing things. But when it's not your own stuff and your own idea, the potential for him to bring in and run a massive client is just always been there, and he was just being underutilized. So it's been easier, and it's like the first pre-COVID coming up at the end of Christmas, we were booming, and then we both got COVID in January, and then now on the back end of that, it's booming again, and so that's with him. We work with whether it be a shopping center, a big agency, a modeling agency, other artists. Like, our interest is to give us some clients, mate. Give them shout outs. Let them know.
We've got, Neon Model Management. We work with Indrapilli Shopping Center. We worked with a couple of big source brands. It's kind of like, as soon as someone sees any person that this is how good Aaron is. And like, this is just turning into an Aaron love fest on this podcast. But the man, and like, I knew straight away, is like, how can you get more clients through this guy? Is you just get the first client and then you create a little bit more content than they want. And I go, you give them what they want and then you give them the Aaron video. So that way they know what they could have had, and you give them both. And then all of a sudden through that one client, we get 3 more that are all in the same business because they're all talking to each other.
Have to use this guy.
Yeah, you got to use this guy. It's insane. Yeah. And that's kind of, it's been such a really good marriage between him because he can create the content that I need, that I can explain to people. Like, I can't go shoot the video, but I can tell you what you need. Yeah. And then I've got a guy that can literally come take my ideas, and that also on his own has his own ideas and his own creativeness to go bring those to fruition. And between the two agencies now, I think, over the next 5 to 10 years, they're just both, one's already exploding and one's on the way to exploding. So
amazing.
It's just going to be great stuff.
Yeah, good. Yeah. And then you guys started like, I was like around the COVID time, like, this episode's going to touch on like a little bit of, I guess, NFT stuff, the old non-fungible token. You're the expert on that. It's at like
the friendship circle expert.
But like, you guys started dabbling in that, in and around like that COVID time when there wasn't much to do. And like you're somebody who, I feel like if I ask you a question and you don't know the answer, you'll go and do 2 weeks worth of research and reading on it and then come back to me like, this is all the things I know, I've learned, or I know, or whatever it is. And he's very similar, but you obviously had a bit of time on your hands in time and you kind of started dabbling in that section. And we've sat in the last couple of days and like, you're so knowledgeable on all of it.
Yeah, it's kind of, and no one, and I'm going to tell you this right now for everyone that's watching, no one's an expert like in crypto or NFT, and people can say they are, but it's still, everything's changing rapidly, constantly.
Daily.
Yeah. There's just new ideas, new thoughts, new ways blockchains are working. It's just constantly changing. My, in a sense, expertise is just, as you said, come from usage, and just like passion and interest in where I feel the market can go with it. We started, and I think there's going to be a lot of people's journeys that are into NFTs. We started with NBA Top Shot as massive NBA fans. Yeah. The NBA brand worked with a brand called Dapper Labs, and they brought out Top Shot, which is basically like collectible cards on the blockchain. Yep. But they did a really good job of hiding the blockchain, kind of like disguising it.
Explain the blockchain to me, because that's probably one part that I just have no idea about? Like, I get there's an image, and I get there's a community.
Yeah. So the blockchain is just everything behind it. So it's like it's the easiest way to explain it is it's like a ledger. It's like an accounting book that sits behind everything that you're doing. So every transaction's on the blockchain.
Yeah.
So the blockchain's going. So a particular block stores a certain amount of data, and on that certain amount of data is the transactions that are going, and the blocks continue to move along and go. And every time it's like your data might be stored on a different block, but it'll always be, it's immutable. For the rest of the history of the internet and the world, that data will exist on that particular block.
Yeah.
And that's it. So it's like opening up the history books and being able to look all the way through.
Gotcha.
So if we were,
you got to find the right history book.
Yeah. If you had blockchain back in caveman days, we would have every transaction that they ever had to today that we could go and look back at.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the most exciting thing is we can actually watch businesses evolve, money evolve, music evolve, culture evolve through the blockchain basically. So we got in through Dapper Labs and through NBA Top Shot. And then we kind of realized there was more. Like we were sort of kind of like dabbling in that for a couple of months, and then we're like, hang on, there's just more going on in this space that we're not really paying attention to because we're just so engulfed in what's happening in NBA Top Shot. So we went and started looking around. We got on Twitter. Twitter is where it's all happening. If you want to get into NFT and crypto at the moment, you can basically get in the echo chamber pretty easily. You like a couple of posts and like TikTok, you're there.
Yeah.
And then we just started seeing all different things. We were probably on, I think anyone that's kind of been around has seen Beeple's artwork that sold in December a year and a half ago for 62 million or something like that. And then Bored Ape Yacht Club's come up and they've become really popular with celebrities. That kind of stuff was happening just as we sort of moved from NBA Top Shot into there. And we're like, oh, okay, like the market's, this is crazy. Like there's a lot happening here.
Yeah. And celebrities have lots of, like when celebrities get around something like that,
it starts to pop.
When it's footy player, like NFL players, NBA players, they've got a lot of disposable cash. So minting Bored Ape yachts for them doesn't touch the sides sometimes. Where like I look at it and like in that time and I'm like, oh, $300 or $500 or whatever they were minting for. You're kind of like, fuck, that's going to hurt for a week or two. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and then obviously because they post about it, they've all got to display pictures or whatever it is. You kind of like, fuck, this thing, like that's when you start to take notice.
Yeah, they're really becoming the Rolexes of the world. Not yet, but I guarantee over the next 5 to 10 years, people will only be flexing their NFTs essentially. And it's not going to be, again, it's not going to be for everyone.
Yeah.
But there will be a large portion of the population that will be like, have you seen my Bored Ape? Have you seen my Azuki? Have you seen my Doodle? Like it's just how it will go because the people that are building the communities are, as soon as you add someone like Post Malone to a community who already has millions of followers and they're all going to like, oh, how can I be connected with Posty? Oh, sick. I can just own the same NFT as him basically means I'm him. It's the same as we cop shoes that we go.
It's like
Jordans.
like when Post Malone did Crocs, right? Like, and they sold out instantly. Like
Bieber,
no one sold out Crocs. Yeah, it's all those kind of things. But exactly like they're just doing the same thing with that same community.
Yeah, and we kind of saw that happening, and then we're like, man, we just have to get involved. Like, so we both decided on. I just wanted to do content that I'm already doing, which is helping musicians and artists like develop and get better. So we created basically an access token.
Yeah.
So people can come into the community and I linked them with, so we literally did an interview yesterday with a playlisting expert for Spotify and Amazon and stuff like that. And then those holders they can send me questions. No one else can. So everyone that holds their NFT can ask me questions that I can ask the expert.
Yeah.
So they're kind of getting a one-on-one session through me.
Gotcha.
With someone. So that's just our project, but that's what we realized by doing that, the utility and stuff behind, like all of a sudden you are opening up a world where it's really difficult in this current world to prove ownership of something or to transfer ownership.
Instagram, Pinterest, and like especially of images, right? Like for somebody like me who's a graphic designer and marketer, I see our images
you would know it at the heart
everywhere. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you take an image and like it happened the other day, and it was a Mr. Consistent cocktail. I knew it was a Mr. Consistent cocktail because I'd taken that photo, but it was on another brand's page that sells a similar product. But I'm like, at what point,
how can I prove this?
Yeah. How can I prove it's mine, or how can I prove it is? Like, I know I took the photo, all well and good, but there's a million copies of that photo because we've used it in advertising, we've used it in marketing, we've used it on Pinterest, we've used it on Instagram, we've used it on Twitter, we've used it on Facebook, like we've used it in EDMs. Like this thing has been replicated 100 times. Like
already just internally, yeah.
Yeah, it's everywhere, like internally everywhere. It's on posters on the street and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? But people can just take something and there's no, I guess, repercussions or ownership of it or whatever it is. And you're right, it's really hard to prove ownership of anything besides a car or a house or do you know what I mean? Like,
but even those, it's hard to swap ownership of those things. And that's where the NFTs will come into play eventually over time, is we'll start to eliminate the friction that there is between owning an item and being able to sell or gift an item to someone else, because you won't need any paperwork. It'll just be like
a transaction.
It's in your wallet now. You now own that vehicle.
Yeah.
You now own that house. You now own that picture. And when we realize that as well, like in this path, we're like, all right, it's all over. Like
that's exciting, man. Like
we need to go heavy into this. Like
imagine
I'm getting tingles now thinking about
it.
Like it's just because I just know where music's going to go. Like, and I'm being so heavy in music and having such a, like I'm even getting excited talking about it now, as you can hear me talking quicker.
Yeah.
It's like understanding the music industry and having been in it for so long and knowing the foibles and the things that are always like such a downfall in the music industry, such a downer, and like everyone's just down about streaming and ownership. And we've just had such a bad run for like 10 to 20 years that I can see independent artists back in the driver's seat with and it's happening now.
Yeah.
Like there are artists right now that had little to no fans blowing up via just using Twitter, via selling an NFT, by having good music and connecting with real fans and collectors. Because that's the difference now, is you're not just connecting with people that like your music, you're connecting with people that believe in you.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. It's no longer people that are buying your tickets that are interested in your music. They're buying an NFT to go, I believe I'm going to like this guy. Because me personally, I love country music, but I'm not really going to go buy country music.
Yeah.
But I know what a good artist looks like. So if I could go invest in that guy's NFT, knowing that he's a good artist, which I would, or at least have an understanding that, you know, I'm going to be closer percentage of being right than I am wrong.
Yeah.
I can go and just chuck some money at that and go, yep, I believe in that artist. I think in the next decade, he's going to be the next Garth Brooks. Done.
And it's also
I'll spend $100.
It's more beneficial for the artist as well. Cause you know, like for an emerging artist, the only way to get noticed is SoundCloud, like in Australia, especially, is Triple J or Double J or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like Unearthed.
That's it.
Like that's kind of it. And SoundCloud and doing shitty gigs, and you hope you get exposed at some point to somebody
Right
of
person.
yeah. And then you go in and you record an EP, an album, or whatever it is, and then it goes on Spotify and you make sweet FA on that for the longest period of time. You still have to go and play all those gigs. You can't focus on your craft and putting out new songs because you're trying to just get paid from doing gigs at the pub. Do you know what I mean? Like, and
chasing invoices.
Yeah. It's almost like it almost feels like it's a donation in belief to that person being like, I want to be a part of your community. I love your stuff. I'll mint your product and I'll like take that $100 and get some food and start working on some new music because I believe in what you're doing.
Yeah, it's even a way like for artists to connect with other artists. Like I've seen NFTs that adds, you know, utility with studio time. So you can come and record a song with me. You know,
yeah, that's cool.
You can work with my producer. You can work with this person. Like it's just, you know, like Gary Vee's been the massive flagship for the whole space. Like his utility, like his most recent one he did in VeeFriends, there was so many bits of utility, but like a massive one was like a 3-hour once a year for 3 years meeting with him, where you can have, and this guy like would change your business.
Yeah.
Like, and you can have a 3-hour one-on-one meeting with him about your business every year. So,
and that's what that
utility on that NFT
utility.
was.
Yeah, right. Amazing.
And I think it started like it minted for like a couple of ETH, but then right now its value is like 20 ETH.
And you imagine in 10 years time, you change a business, you sell it, like say you mint that NFT, right, with Gary V. You go 10 years of having that, or 5 years of having that meeting, 3-hour meeting, and he could potentially change business. Like he's done it for lots of people. You get to a point where you cash out of that business. You're retired. You no longer need Gary V. You sell that thing for some whopping amount of cash, and that goes to the next person who
can change their business.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty. And that's I was sort of explaining it to the to your office here pre the podcast, and like the easiest way for your average person to understand it, that's a pain in our ass when we're in the real world, is a gym membership. So imagine an NFT as a gym membership where you no longer have to fucking deal with a gym anymore, where you can just go to the gym. If you want to leave the gym, you're moving house, you don't have to call them up and, oh, hey, I'm moving house. You're not moving. Like, okay, you got to pay this $150. I don't want to pay the fucking $150. I'm just moving, dude. I just want to cancel my membership. I don't want to pay next week. Like, think about how difficult that is, that conversation. And they always try and get around it. Like, you've signed the contract, blah, blah, blah. There's no contract anymore. I've just got the NFT.
Yeah.
There you go.
Someone else buys it off you.
You just put it on the gym marketplace that they've got available for you, that other people can come in and buy it, because they don't have to bother selling them themselves, which they can take the time out of now. They don't have to sign anyone up for it, because they can just sell it over there in the marketplace. So it's actually helping the business out, and it's helping the consumer out at the same time.
Yeah. Is there a lot of shit out there? Like, in saying that, is there a lot of people
Be
like
very careful out there, everyone. I know I'm not the Pied Piper at the moment, but there is a lot of garbage out there.
That's the one thing. Like, it's obviously super easy to put stuff up, and I've seen artists, they'll put one up and they'll sit there for 4 weeks, and they sell out of merch, they sell out of paintings, they sell out of whatever it is, but then they put an NFT up and it'll sit there for 4 or 5 weeks. And whether it's their current community just doesn't have an interest in that space, or they haven't educated them enough of why it's important to be a part of it, or whatever it is. But I imagine there is a lot of stuff out there where people are just trying to cash in. Like, they see the ads, they see the success stories, and they took like this 11-year-old made $200K on selling his paint.
Oh man, there was, I think the most recent good time story I saw was 13-year-old made 1.2 million selling, I think it was like dugongs. Like
that was the one I saw.
Yeah. And she gave half away to charity. So fucking awesome.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. But there is a lot to be careful about. And it's like they have a term in NFT land, and I think it's investing land as well, which is DYOR, which is do your own research. So it's only take risks that you can afford,
that you're willing to take risk on.
If you feel like that $100 can literally go in the bin, it would never affect your life, I recommend only investing that much. But always make sure you're looking at whatever you're looking to invest in. Don't just follow the crowd. Follow your gut.
Yeah.
If you think something's going to be worth it, and these are everything I've ever won on in the last 12 months in this space has been something that I'm like, in my head's like, you need to get that. Like, this makes sense. And they've been the ones that work. The ones that I've gone, hey, yeah, man, everyone's into it. Yeah, let's go. Have been the ones that have lost.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's one thing to build hype, but it's another thing to build long-standing.
Yeah, continue on
practices.
The promise that you made.
And that's a lot of the space at the moment is promise. It's essentially believing in a promise and then hoping that they deliver.
Yeah.
And if you can deliver in the space of anyone out there looking to start something or release a music NFT or like you guys releasing your NFT, congrats. Yeah. It's knowing you can deliver on your promises before you think about releasing the NFT.
Yeah.
Know it and how it's going to go and how it's planned, and like a business, it's exactly the same, and just have it all structured.
I think that's why we wanted to.
Fans.
Yeah, that's why we wanted to do. I don't think we haven't obviously done any education or talked about it to any of our. I don't
think you need to do. Like, I think the space will follow it.
Yeah,
I think your fans that are interested will look at it themselves. Like, I tend to steer away from trying to educate too many people on a sense of like one-to-one hand-to-hand combat and like education. Like, you sort of have to supply a certain amount, but past that, it's like you need the person to sort of tip over the edge themselves.
Yeah.
I think.
we want to like when I first like the conversation first came up, and I think we've released 30. I think like we've minted 30, and this episode. When's this episode coming out, Kirsten? Next week? Yeah, Wednesday. So we did it as a half-assed April Fool's joke because last year we said we ran out of lime juice for April Fool's. And December rolled around, and we actually ran out of lime juice. Like we had a serious problem in our business. This year we wanted to do something kind of fun that people would be like, "Oh, is it real? Is it not? Are they have taken the piss? It's on April Fools." So we've released a NFC, which is a non-fungible cocktail, not a
NFC.
Yeah, NFC. And it's literally a bottle of air that you run the like a blue light over the top, and it tells you what you get. Like it's got NFC. Like it's basically we've done a cool bottle that's interactive that you'll keep forever. We wanted to do something physical because we are a very physical touch feel style company. But the NFC or the actual NFT that if you thought, fuck, maybe Mr. Consistent aren't doing April Fools and this is actually real, which it turns out it is. It was actually real. We put them up for $100 each, but we wanted to only do 30 because we know we can manage a club of 30 people and give 30 people an amazing experience. Yeah. And we've got a huge Instagram community. We've got a pretty good TikTok community. We've got an amazing like an online customer base community that we communicate regularly with through EDMs and birthdays and all that kind of stuff. And we wanted to give those people, anyone that kind of sits in those categories, give them the opportunity to be like, oh, maybe they're for real and purchase this NFT. And we actually have had people purchase. I think so far we're recording this episode, it's been up for 3 or 4 hours. I think we've sold about 10 or something like that out of the 30. So people are kind of like, fuck, if this is real, this is going to be sick. We'll never ever... To be fair, we'll never ever take your money and give you nothing. We'll always over.
The value already on it. I looked at like when we were literally, because I helped them and advised through the stages, is 10x what the cost is. Like, the merch, the discounts, the birthday gift, like all of that stuff is exponentially larger than the $100 that you'd spend. So without anything really happening, like I think you've promised some other stuff like potential to have event passes and stuff like that. Without any of those added bonuses, you're already in the green.
Yeah, the value. Yeah, the value we
after
want,
1 year. You go into 2, 3, 4, 5 years, it's out of control.
Yeah, the $100 that we set it at was to give people like kind of make people think a little bit harder. Like when we release a product, our bottle's $30. Like all our bottles are $30. We wanted to release it at a price where people are like, fuck, maybe they're serious or maybe they're just taking the piss and it's a bottle of air with a blue light label, But the one thing we wanted to do was overpromise on what you spend that $100, what you get for the next year in that community will be valued at probably $500-600, probably $1,000, like knowing us. And we wanted to test the waters, I guess, and see how people interact and communicate and get to know the space a little bit better before we do anything more.
It's a big endeavor, man. Like you can make a lot of missteps as a brand really quickly in the space because there's just not enough. Like I'm in the echo chamber with my friends. Like Aaron's majorly into it. I've got like 2 or 3 other mates that are majorly into it, and we all communicate. And sometimes I forget. You walk out of that room, and I'm in the wide open world, and I can't talk to anyone else about it because they're just like either don't understand it, don't want to understand it, or actively hate the space because they don't understand it in the first place. Or want to understand it. So it's kind of like you're still really early. So I think what you're doing is kudos. And we talked about that, in our first meetings. It's like testing the waters and building that, building on the promises, which is what we're just saying, is only going to help a business, especially with the access to. You've got diehard fans of this brand already that are keen to be more involved, and then things like NFTs and memberships like that, where it just can open up to a whole new world and new experiences. It's just going to connect you better with your fans. It's sick.
I'm actually excited to see where it goes because the one thing we do well here, I feel like, is talk to our customers and let our customers know what's going on and what we're doing and the events. And like we are working as hard as we've ever worked to be a part of festivals this year. Like we've just signed a contract with Groove in the Moose. So we're going to be at all 3 Groove in the Moose, and we have loads of GA passes, AAA passes, and we've got bars at every single one of those things. We're at F1 in 3 weeks, that we have like passes too. That like we're working on other. Obviously, loads of other festivals.
This is turned into a consistent flex zone now.
Yeah, but like we want to give people want to the
you
reason
want to hold on to them.
The reason we're doing these things is because we want people to go to those things and enjoy our product at that festival. Like, there's no point in holding on to 10 GA tickets and giving them out to my mates. I'll give
look after the boys.
Yeah, the boys. Yeah, but they're the ones that rock up here and be like, "Oh, hey, boy, can I grab a box or whatever?"
They're already getting looked after. They're already getting looked after. Yeah.
Like we want to give back and we want to do more and have people more involved in our business. So it is an exciting chapter for us, which is pretty cool.
And just harping on that ability to then for someone again after 1 year, they feel like they've got enough value. They're moving to another country and they can't be bothered sorting out with Mr. Consistent. They can put that NFT on the market and sell it off to someone else. So it's just removing that need to have someone managing all those things. And the customers and the fans can relate to each other and build their own community in a sense on the side by just trading and passing along these NFTs.
Shit, yeah. I'm excited. It's a gnarly space, right? Like the amount of unknown and unexpert, like you see loads of Instagram people giving advice and it's like, who you got to pick.
No one's an expert.
Yeah, no one's an expert. Like you just take all of the advice and pick and choose what you want, whatever feels right. Like I watched a lot of podcasts with somebody like Logan Paul who has a huge bank account and he chooses his based on actual artwork that he likes. He doesn't choose on like the community kind of stuff. Like he goes, I like that piece of art, I'm going to buy it. Do you think there's a part where the people that are choosing like that will actually, our houses will become more futuristic in being able to display those things? Like I probably wouldn't. Yeah. That's the one thing. Like I've got one of those TVs that you can put your artwork on or whatever it is. Like I love it. It sits on the artwork more than I watch it.
And this is something again I thought about because with collecting on Top Shot, I'm like, because I actually have in real life like basketball cards and I've got Top Shot cards as well. And I was like, where's going to be the marriage? And it happened really quickly in the first couple of months of Top Shot blowing up is they'd started developing these boxes that you could get that you tell them you prove ownership.
Yeah.
So they've got to have access to your wallet. You show them. They know it's yours. Cool. You pay the money. They then send you a box with the frame in it. When you literally open the box, it turns on and it can't be changed. So whatever like it's got a ridiculously long life battery involved for the stuff, the LED, because we got that kind of technology now. And you just put it on the wall and that's you.
Wow.
Or you put it on your table and that's your card. And it can't be, there's no way you can program it to be something different.
Yeah.
It'll only display the card, the video that you've given them.
What happens when you sell that NFT?
Well, you can still, that's the thing that they haven't really gotten around yet. But that, when I saw that, I was like, oh, this is going to get big in the art world. Like when we can get, it's more about DPI, like being able to display the art in its truest form.
There's one guy, Daniel Arsham, I think he is a New York artist, and he made one that decays over 75 years. Like you put it on your TV and you turn it on, or you get a screen that's like, he only had one of them, but he's got massive collectors, right? Like massive collectors. And you would buy a TV or some sort of screen specifically at huge capacity to display that thing in high res. And you just turn it on and then you watch storms come through, you watch rain come through, you watch the sun come out, and this piece of art it's like almost looks a little bit Stonehenge-y, but it decays over 75 years. You can't speed it up, you can't slow it down, but it decays over 75 years. Like that's fucking pretty cool.
They've got a lot of the artists out there are really working with timed art. So it changes as night rolls into day and stuff like that, which is just you can't even explain how it works. It's so amazing.
Technology's insane, eh?
Yeah, and that's the leap that it's really making with the digital world. It's like people because it's just so foreign to us all right now because we haven't really been like chucked into the middle of it yet.
Yeah.
So it's still, we're not really used to it, but this is what digital will bring to the space, bring to our world, is like adding on to, not taking away from. That's what people keep on confusing. It's like, if you're a music artist, you don't need to only go and do music NFTs. You can still upload to Spotify and release your stuff on as an NFT.
Yeah.
It's not an either or, it's an and. So you can still collect real life art and still collect digital art. No one's stopping you from doing either. You don't have to be for or against either.
Yeah.
It's just, oh, cool. I think, like you just said, I want a really fucking sick decaying art piece that can only be displayed digitally. Sick. And I want the Mona Lisa. Sick.
Yeah.
There's just, it doesn't have to be one or the other.
There's space for everything. Madness, man. I love it. It's so good. It's kind of, I feel like the easiest way to explain the technology advancement is like back in the day, right? You get paid into your bank account and you wanted to go get petrol. You couldn't transfer money at the pump. Do you know what I mean? Like that's how, like we're only like,
a decade into that.
Yeah, a decade into that. Like I remember I'd have to ring mum and like, hey, can you transfer money into my bank account? Because like there's none in my bank account, to be fair, when I was, 15, 20 years ago, and she would jump on the internet and it'd be dial up or like really slow internet, and she'd have to go in and then transfer it. And then you would hope it went through quickly, because normally if you hadn't transferred to that bank account, it would take 3 days. Like this is the advancement of how quick things happen. And like I'm somebody,
the ability to transfer money quickly between your bank accounts.
I go to the petrol pump and I literally walk into the petrol station transferring money from like my savings and my billing account to whatever. I'm like, fuck, I could have just transferred like $500 for the week and just dealt with it and just known. But then I don't know.
Spend that quicker.
Yeah, but you just get
used to it. I suppose.
You get used to it and you become accustomed to being able to do things quickly and change things around and move money around
people forget, man. Like 18, I had like a phone like this, like massive.
Oh, it was a flip. I was cool.
Yeah.
It was a yellow flip phone.
Well, I'm a little bit older. But like just that progression. I think so I've been on the internet literally since there was dial up in Australia, which is why I'm so heavy into technology. But it's only 20 years, like 20 and a bit years that just dial up has been in your house in Australia, and now we're 20 years later, we're in a space where now we can create decaying digital art to hang on your wall.
Yeah. FYI, NBN, my internet is slow as shit.
It's still, yeah.
Like,
internet in Australia is still the slowest in the world.
I don't even have cable. I'm running on the ADSL switch. This building is running on the ADSL switch that they switched to NBN. And it is like, sorry guys, there's nothing we can do about it.
And that
I said, it's 2022, man. Come like.
And like eventually we'll all be running off satellite internet. Like that'll just happen over time, but it
can't happen quick enough.
People really forget the leaps and bounds that they've just become adjusted to already. Like you just think of my dad, who's 75, God bless him, only just started using the iPhone. So that's, 10, 12 years into the iPhone coming out, touch phones.
Yeah.
So you think of that leap that happened where none of us, everyone was like so against iPhones. Like no one understood it, except for kids at the time. And now social media was around the same time. That all happened and people were still against it. And only now, same thing, those people in that window that were early against it, only now are they all using social media. It'll be another 10 years, as I just said, 5 to 10 years where we'll all be sitting around and everyone that was like, NFTs.
Yeah, all the oldies are moving from Facebook to Instagram now. Like, it's like that transition right now.
Yeah. And it'll happen because there is no space in the world where I can't see this technology isn't usable from, like, imagine where COVID had come in. It is so easy to, like, I hate to tell your government, to fake the pass. I've been offered 3 different ways to fake like vaccination passes. It's the easiest thing in the whole world in Australia to fake a vaccination pass. What would be really difficult to fake would be having that on the blockchain. So if every person that got vaccinated was administering an NFT, it's immutable. You can't fake it.
The data's there somewhere. Yeah.
You'd be immutable. You could only prove that you've got it through this thing. That's it. But we're not thinking like that. We're still thinking in this.
That's the one
primitive
thing
state.
that's the one thing that
Sign a paper, show you a bit of paper.
I think that's the thing that annoys me.
Print it out and fake it on PDF. I can edit a PDF.
That's the one thing that annoys me between, I guess, in Australia, between states is the licensing thing. You know, if you in New South Wales or Queensland, like Queensland have just brought out or are working on bringing out digital licenses. So you still have to carry your wallet everywhere because you have to show your license when you're driving, you get pulled over, whatever.
I forget all the time, dude.
Yeah, and
I'm like, Jesus.
when we moved to New South Wales, I had it on my phone. Like I went, and then I came back here and they were like, but then in New South Wales, my license, I've got motorbike, jet ski, boat, and normal license. When I moved to New South Wales, everything's in one on Queensland. You move to New South Wales, you've got to pay another license fee for your motorbike. You've got to pay another license fee for your marine license and your normal license fee. You come back to Queensland, it's all in one. Like the technology that is available is not being shared between states. Like there's a real disconnect there of having all your licenses in one go, and then in New South Wales being able to have it on your phone and walk into, like just having your phone walking into, if you get ID'd or whatever it is. Not that it happens to me anymore. A bit old, bit grey.
Still good looking, mate. Don't worry about it.
But or like
glimmer in the eye.
Yeah, when you scan into a venue or something like that, like the technology isn't being shared, I feel like, and that's probably the one thing that
even internationally,
the NFT space is everyone's using the same
open
technology.
Source.
Yeah, everyone's using the same technology. Everyone's using the same shit. It's a very even playing field.
That's and this is, I promised myself, you know, because I never jumped on Facebook, I never jumped on Instagram, even though I had a similar understanding and belief of them. TikTok, even though I knew I was still slow. And I probably promoted it for 3 years before I promoted to every artist and saying, I can see it. It's the next thing.
Yeah.
Before properly starting to use it. And now I'm behind, but still growing on it. I promised myself because of TikTok that the next thing I saw and believed in, I wouldn't sit in the back seat anymore. I'd be 100%. And
go for it.
Yeah. That was with NFTs. I can see where the technology is going to go. And I've got absolute belief that it'll revolutionize the music industry. And that's just one part of the world.
Yeah.
It'll do that to countless things. Just on, as I said, like when you can, and you know, the governments are obviously going to fight this very tooth and nail, and there'll be regulations and things that come in place. But when I can sell a house without a real estate agent and just go, the house is yours, I've just dropped the NFT contract in your wallet.
I sold my house without a real estate agent. And honestly, the difference in, like, we obviously had a surveyor do the contract or whatever, but
you're a bit more organised than I am, so
but it's more so like like we knew what we wanted to sell it at, and we just weren't, like, we didn't have to go through the manipulation of, oh, this is a pretty good deal, you should take it. It's like, well, man, this is what we're willing to say. And no, man, there's not much. Like, do you know what I mean? Like that manipulation where, and I hate it. I hate it so much. Like I'm confident enough in my ability to have that conversation with somebody versus having to go through a third party to have that conversation for me.
Yeah.
I see where they do fit in when people don't, like, they can get more for people or whatever it is. But
some people, I don't want to really talk to other people.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think there's definitely merit in making things a lot easier, you know, like, and that you're right, the government will fight this.
Think of the paperwork, fucking just swap cars. Oh my God. I literally roll over in my grave every time I think of like swapping a car or buying a new car.
And I think that's why people get stuck with shit, like either like selling a house or selling a car or selling anything that has a like rego, or you pay tax and rates on, or anything like that, is an absolute nightmare. The paperwork, and they forget to submit their paperwork, and then you get a speeding fine in the mail 2 months later because they didn't do their part. But it's like, well, fuck, I did my part. Like, why am I being punished? Like, now I've got to go to a JP and do you know what I mean? Like, it's just the rigmarole that comes with it, that when it's not like, it's not here's an apple, I want to pay 20 cents for this apple. Here's $20 for my, here's whatever it is for this. And it's not transactional. It's like, it just drags on, and then that person's got to change their mail, and the mail keeps coming to you. You can go on and on. Do you know what I mean? But like, there's so many things that in that transactional period that could be like, right, this person now lives at this address, or mail doesn't go to this house.
Yeah, you'd have like to think about it really quickly is you would just have a back end to your wallet that only the government can access.
Yeah.
And that would just have all your private details on it. And I was sure it's open to fucking being hacked, but have my address, have my name. I don't give a shit. Like, you can literally, the amount of times I think the people in this building have all been hacked different ways with passwords, social media,
credit cards,
emails, credit cards,
all that kind of shit.
It's going to happen for the rest of the digital landscape that we live in. It's just, that's it. We can't avoid it. There'll be safer securities slowly put in place, but there'll be better hackers and there'll be smarter scammers. It's always going to happen. You just have to be alert enough to understand how to protect yourself from those things. But that's how easy it could be. It's literally a back end to your wallet, like your crypto wallet, that the government can see. It's once the NFT's in your thing, they see that you now own that vehicle. They now know that the mail goes to that. Really, they should be stop fucking sending postal mail, you idiots. Send me an email. If you don't have an email registered, they ping you and say, get an email. And they just send you your rego. And then they take the rego. Even better, just take the rego money out of my wallet. Stop making me send it to you.
This is the next thing. Is there insurance on being hacked in that space?
I haven't looked into that. So that's something I should definitely look into. But so this is something that's interesting happening because I know how Wild Westy it is. Like, people need to really be safe out there. Like, in the real world, if you go and buy money for a product, and I mean, NFTs are still the real world, but I'm just digital versus, in real life. The potential to take someone to court is very easy because you go, I got proof of purchase. I purchased this. That's the person that I bought it off.
Yeah.
Get me the product.
Yeah.
They've screwed me. Whereas in crypto and NFT, it's kind of, docs and non-docs people, like you kind of sometimes you can be dealing with someone you don't know at all. And then their ability to just take your money and leave is high.
Yeah.
So that's why I talk about delivering on promises being such a big part of the space, is because sometimes you're really dealing with the unknown.
Yeah.
So if you can watch them deliver on promises, you go, the trust starts to build up and you're like, I believe in this person, I'll invest. But they just literally a week ago put the first, I think like 3 21-year-olds in jail over scamming a whole bunch of people.
Yeah, right.
Where they delivered a product, didn't deliver it, like they put out an NFT, didn't deliver anything, and just took it, it's called a rug pull. Yeah. Yeah. They just took the cash and walked away. But they had enough of their ID there that people could identify them. Yeah. And they got caught. But I presume that there would be some kind of insurance. And I know for a fact they are working on a couple that I've heard of, but I don't know if there's one out there yet. Yeah, because that's the part that would make me nervous. Like if you are,
and it does. That's
it's
going
not
into that space, and it's like, well, that we just got hacked and we lost. Like, somebody came into my wallet and took my NFTs, and I've got no proof who did it because it's a online person who has no ID attached to their profile.
And don't be mistaken, it's happening every single day out there. Like, it is still a very new, very scary space, and that's what isn't driving the masses there straight away. The potential to make money is driving some people there, but the need to be safe in what you're doing, 2-factor authentication, keeping passwords offline.
Yeah.
There's cold wallets now as well, like they're called ledgers, that you can plug in to your computer, and then so all the data, so it doesn't store the NFTs in there, it just stores the data. Yeah. So no one can pretend empty your wallet in a sense because they can't actually really access the data. So the data's sitting here.
The data's unplugged, basically. Yeah.
The data's offline, so they can never steal from you. So there are easy safety measures that you can take.
Gotcha.
The biggest thing I can recommend for anyone that's in that kind of space, be very wary of anyone DMing you. Be very wary of emails. Like, I now and before NFTs still get 20 scam emails a day to my original
they come in hot
address.
I was in the car the other day and someone rang me. It's like
MetaMask, everything.
I get them from
phone calls. I get 3 phone calls a day.
The phone calls, and they're like, "Hey, you've got an overdue account with somebody you don't have an account with. Please press 1 to enter in your credit card details to confirm that you are the owner of this account." And I'm like, my daughter's 4 in the back seat being like, "Dad, is that?" I was like, "It's just somebody trying to take my money." And she's like, "Is this another person trying to take your money?" Like, do you know what I mean? People are so weird. Like, it's almost like a G up now how bad they are at scamming.
And but like as much as we laugh about it, those people are winning. That's why they continue to do it.
They continue to do it.
So it's just about being very aware at all times and not believing at face value what someone's telling you, and doing, again, do your own research into, if someone's communicating something, don't click on any links. That's like the biggest safety measure. If they direct you somewhere, just go and Google that address.
Yeah.
Go to that address. Don't click on the link that they've given you, because a link can literally download code to your computer and they can hack your computer, or it can trace your keys. You
trace your passwords,
your keyboard, whatever you're doing on the keyboard. So any kind of malicious links are the key to getting your wallet emptied. Yeah, basically, and it's happening. There's guys losing 2 or 3 Bored Apes out of their wallet. So like hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars losing in a second, like real kill yourself kind of stuff. So it's like, it does happen and you need to be very safe, but to be safe is really easy. Like that's the thing, like it's really scary, but to not make those mistakes is super easy. You just don't click on links. You just don't, like, unless it's your best mate and you can see it's them. Yeah. You just don't believe.
Stay away from them.
Yeah, you just go, it's great. I don't know you. Why would I click on that? No thanks. Bye.
Yeah, good. And you've got a podcast like that you guys talk about it. What's
Might as well promote it.
Yeah, give us the.
So I actually run a podcast with Aaron and another friend of ours, Jai. We focus on music NFTs and just where we think the NFT industry is going to take music in general, but we also talk about things like we just talk about like safety in the space. How you can start your own project, how people like marketing trends. Yeah. We see just stuff that really interests us in the space, and it's called the NFT Project. You can find that on any streaming service. At the moment, it comes out Mondays and Wednesdays in Australia.
Double up.
Yeah.
2 a week.
Yeah. We make them digestible. So like generally we aim for 20 minutes, but lately we've been getting up to like the 40 minutes because we tend to yak a bit.
Deep,
Yeah. But yeah, we try and keep them just easy breezy. Like 30 minutes is what we aim for.
See, go have a listen. Where else can people find you? Obviously at Brok Neilson.
Yeah. So my Insta is at Brok Neilson, but my pride and joy is obviously Together Agency. So you can find that at Together Agency AU.
And then Creative Culture is also.
So Creative Cult AU.
They're all on TikTok as well. So TikTok, Instagram, whatever you fancy. Go give them a follow. Have a listen. If you are interested, download. If you got questions, buy his token.
You can come on my NFT project.
There you go. Thank you so much for coming in, man. I really appreciate it. And obviously I've learned a lot today, which is pretty cool. But I'm excited to see where our space goes, and I'm excited to continue working with you on that space and see what we can make of it.
Mate, as I said before, like the fan base, I think I was looking at the Instagram comments. As you said, it just launched. Yeah. And I was looking at the Instagram comments, and people are already collecting your bottles now. Yeah. And you release different bottles. And I was saying to everyone in the office, I'm like, you even have a space now where you can release different shaped bottles, and people want to collect those. And then when you're in that collector's heads, NFTs are just some, sub for the par. Like people are going to want to collect those. So I think your fans are already there, and it's just going to be like showing that proof of like, we want to connect with you. We love you. Thank you so much. And they'll all follow, and you'll have a lot of joy and engagement with your community through this.
Mate, we love it.
Journey.
That's the shit that puts smiles on our faces every day. People, it's seeing photos of people drinking the stuff, enjoying it. Like that's the shit.
So many good.
Man, that's the shit that matters. Like cocktails are meant to be about a good time, and you usually drink with friends.
Especially margaritas.
You usually drink when you're having a good time. Like nobody ever like had a margarita and was like, fuck, this is the shittest night ever. Do you know what I mean? Like everyone's like, all right, let's go. Like espresso martini, like you have one of those, you're like, fuck, we're on here. Let's go. Do you know what I mean? Like it's always on the up. It's never on the, like you're sad, you have a margie, you're feeling good again. Do you know what I mean? Like it's never on the, I'm so sad.
Tequila's never a bad time.
This margarita made me so sad. It's never going to happen. So anyway, thanks so much for coming in, man.
Cheers,
it's been
buddy.
a pleasure.
Appreciate
it. Thank you. That's today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. You know the drill. Like, subscribe, leave a review. Go show the Shake Up some love and stay connected. Don't forget you can watch all of our episodes on YouTube. Also, jump over to our Shake Up Cocktail Gang Facebook page where you can find out who's coming up on the podcast. And if you've got questions for them, I'll ask the bloody questions. You can also use the code SHAKEUP for 10% off on mrconsistent.com.au. Thank you so much for listening. And just remember, shit that's fresh.